Alright. Before I start this video, I'm going to preface this by saying that I don't hate Genshin Impact. In fact, I love the game enough to claim the transactions on my taxes. However, there are some mechanics in the game that aren't new to the gacha genre as a whole, but are still just as annoying to grind for. That said, artifacts fucking suck. The amount of grinding for good artifacts is absolutely insufferable, to the point where you have to spend all of your resin only to end up with an artifact that has one of the substats that you need, or none of them. There is no in between. Now, the process of getting an artifact is simple. You go to one of the artifact domains, you pick your level of difficulty, and you pray to God, MiHoYo, and your bank that you get the artifact with the perfect stats that you need the first time, and not the 600th. At lower levels, you can easily say that artifacts don't necessarily make a difference in your overall damage or HP, and I, along with the rest of the community, would call you a moron. The truth is, as you gain experience and reach a higher adventure rank, you get presented with a trial that allows you to break the level cap of your characters, weapons, and so on. As you get stronger, so too do your enemies, which means you're going to need artifacts to overpower them. Don't you just hate power creep? Personally, I need to do some farming myself, but I'd say compared to dedicated Genshin YouTubers, I have decent artifacts. Now to talk about why they suck complete ass. While artifacts are helpful, grinding for them comes off as completely predatory on your pockets. But honestly, it's just an annoying mechanic. As I said before, artifacts are necessary for progression, but if you're a casual whale like me who enjoys having my characters just strong enough to get the job done, then artifacts won't really consume a lot of your time. That is, unless you're doing co-op with a random and you see their damage output far surpasses yours, and then you get jealous and you go off into a tangent, and you know, you casual whales know how it is. Come on, back me up on this. However, for Genshin guide makers, ultra whales, and people who use gacha games as a source of income, you're going to be spending countless hours essentially gambling for that crit damage headpiece with 2% attack stats and a crit damage stat only for said headpiece to be upgraded and develop a defense stat that gets more love than a newborn baby. When you finally get that artifact that you need to complete your build, you have to do the exact same thing for the other 4 or 3 artifacts, depending on how dedicated you are, and hope MiHoYo doesn't bring out an artifact set that runs the current one you spent weeks getting. Utterly useless. I miss when I knew what artifacts to put on my electro characters. Artifacts have different effects that come with a half set and a complete set. Sometimes the complete set helps the half set, and sometimes they only cater to a certain playstyle or are stat specific. For instance, Thundering Fury is good if you want to constantly be rewarded for spamming reactions, which should already be something that gets rewarded in the first place. Thundering Fury used to be a staple for electro characters, and rightfully so, since it has the most brutal lore. It does, you cannot tell me any differently. If you try to, you will lose, and I will see you in court. Pro tip, do not sacrifice virgins. Let's say you don't mind grinding. Another thing that sucks about artifacts is the abysmal resin system that insists on gatekeeping your progression in the game, which I feel brings a screeching halt to the experience in the game. Want to fight a boss? That'll be 40 resin. Want to open a ley line? That'll be 20 resin. Trout's domain? 30 before the markdown, and 60 after you fight it for the first time of the week. The amount of stuff you have to use resin for is ridiculous, and it makes it hard for free-to-play players to want to stay invested in the game, let alone want to farm artifacts for polearm user number 30. Now don't get me wrong, farming artifacts isn't bad, it's just tedious. And the grueling process you have to go through to get them is absolutely horrid. You're limited by both resin and RNG that is so unforgiving it's like getting on American Idol, but all of your judges are Simon Cowell and you just know you aren't getting that perfect stat artifact. Want my advice? I think to at least make the slog of farming artifacts better or bearable would be to give us more resin. Raising the limit of resin didn't do anything but give free-to-play players false hope. I will say that with condensed resin, you get more than you would normally, and considering that condensed resin is 40 resin wrapped in a bundle, it's pretty safe. Using this type of resin will get you double the rewards of any domain you go to. This is a good thing for weapon ascension and talent material because you know what you're going to get. Artifact domains, however, Look, the only thing condensed resin is guaranteed to get you in the artifact domain is this. The bad thing about condensing resin is that you're better off just using normal resin in a talent and a weapon essential material domain because it overall nets you more. It nets you more than going for broke and condensing all of it into just 5 shots at a domain and then walking around for 30 minutes before you play something else. I'm bored now. Condensed resin personally to me feels like a scam to lose your patience and spend money so that you can get that godly artifact. Say what you want, but the final boss isn't whatever slithering around in Conria. It's RNG, and believe me, the drops are not that special.